Guys, thank you very much for listening to the Photography Bar podcast. If you enjoy the show, please make sure to support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as our Patreon, all of which will be linked in the show notes. Please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast apps such as Spotify and Apple Podcast. And with all that said, let's head to the bar. Mark, it's 2024. How are you?
Yes, I'm all right. Happy New Year to you, Cam, and Happy New Year to all our listeners.
Yeah, what do you got for me, Mark? Where are you at?
Where am I at? I'm wearing a hat today. That's kind of breaking news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, did you have a good Christmas, good New Year, and all that?
All good. But back into it now. Start of the new year. You know what it's like. The new year is
Seems ages ago now, doesn't it?
It does. The new year is a time of inspiration, looking for new ideas, refreshing things as a business owner. That's what I've sort of been involved in. Been very quiet for shoots. Obviously, from next week that all kicks off. We're going to be busy again, but it's been a time to just sort of do an overview of things. New website coming as well. All those sort of things that just to get up and running again.
Very good. I mean, I've been shooting since, the second, really. Oh, the third. Third is when I started shooting again. So it's just back to it straight away, really. It was nice to have a week off in between Christmas and New Year. Apart from, we did have a couple of weddings during that time, didn't we?
We did.
Apart from that, it's just straight back to it. And I guess we should probably tell our listeners, we got a bit of news, haven't we, as far as the podcast is concerned. You probably wondered why we had a little bit of a break. Well, we just wanted to sort of reevaluate some things and see what we wanted to do. We are now, because of, we've had so much great feedback from people and things like that, we are now going to be weekly. That's right, guys. You're going to hear us once a week instead of once a fortnight. You lucky people.
It's been great. Honestly, the feedback that we've had some messages over Christmas, or why did you not do another pod over the Christmas break? But we needed that break as well. So
yeah. No, we'll be over Christmas next year. We just had to reevaluate how we wanted to do things and stuff. So although it's going to be cool. You're going to get more content from us in every month now, because we're going to be we're going to be once a week, every Thursday, once a week.
Yeah, and our stats have shown, Mark, that we need to be weekly now. Because there's so many new people listening to us every week. So.
Cool. And of course, there's another feature. I think we can say this, can't we? We're still sort of trying to sort it all out, making sure we get it all right. But we're going to start doing video as well. So you're going to be able to see us as well as as well as hear us. That won't affect, by the way, the stuff on Spotify or anything like that. You'll still be able to hear us if that's if you're driving or something like that. If you still want to take the content that way, that's absolutely fine. But we will be making more use of our YouTube channel, and you'll have a couple of talking heads. If you ever wondered what we look like when we're having a bit of a row, then that's what you'll see. Excellent stuff.
That's right. Yeah, supping on a beer over a video.
Yes,
that's going to be great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now then, today's episode. So we have got some exciting news coming in a little bit later, because we will be joined by Hazel Soper from the Photography and Video Show. They've changed their name again, which is good. Keeping us on our toes. I like it. So it's the Photography and Video Show. They're obviously they're going to be doing their show in March. We're going to have a bit of news from Hazel regarding that. And a tiny little exclusive, I think, as well, if I remember correctly. So
that's right.
That's what she's promised us. So she's going to be coming on in a little bit. But first, Cam, I think you wanted to talk about some software. Some software that is going to give Adobe a run for their money and is free.
Well, do you know what, Mark? It's the beginning of a new year, and let's people what I've been doing, as I was saying. You know, I've been, one of the websites that I have is being completely revamped at the moment. I'm spending some money on some marketing, you know, putting some budget aside and all of that, doing those things. But I'm also been looking to see where I could cut costs as well. You know, general stuff. I found a couple of things that I pay sort of monthly for that I don't really use so much. So I've cut those down, and it makes sense for me, rather than paying a yearly fee, is to pay a monthly fee and just use it, dip in and out when I want to. So it's about saving money. And here is a program that's been around for quite a while, and it's not the only one either. There have been some other photo editing programs, which is completely free. Okay. And it's really I wouldn't say it's a replacement for, it's an alternative to Lightroom.
Okay.
Okay. And I think a lot of people, we've gone past the days of when you used to go and buy the CD. You'd go and buy Photoshop, you'd buy on a CD and all of that.
I think you can still do it. I think I've seen, especially Lightroom. I think I've seen Lightroom in a box that you can buy. But I think so. But
right, okay. Well,
I wouldn't.
I know that I've spoken to where we do all the photography classes, that that a lot of people are a little bit hesitant because they're, I'll say, have you tried Lightroom? That'd be a good program to learn. And it's always, but there's a cost to it. There's a monthly cost to it. What is a yearly cost to it? And people get put off by that. And I can understand that, because it's something you've got to learn, and they don't necessarily want to be paying for it. So, but there are alternatives, and there have always been alternatives as well. And this alternative that I've been looking at is called Darktable. And I said, I don't know when it was actually introduced, but it is a free alternative to Lightroom for photographers. And it's a very, very good alternative as well, and it's, I guess one of the things that I would say is, if you're a professional, you're a professional and you use Lightroom sort of more or less every single day, then it's not really going to be for you. Okay, it's more really for people, I think, that are perhaps just learning. It could be great it could be great for students, I think, as to learn something. Okay, but it's an open source program. Open source means the source code is freely available for anyone to use, modify, and redistribute. Okay, so it is completely free.
So a bit like Tumblr and things like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so it's completely free, and as I say, they call it a Lightroom alternative. It supports raw files, which is really good, because remember, a lot of people shoot raw files and then they find they download the images and they've got no program to actually open the raw files with. So you need something, which is good. Also, I think quite important, because some of the free editing programs in the past have not been, they're not, this is a non-destructive editing software. And what I mean by that, it doesn't, what I mean is that it doesn't touch your original file. Okay. Now, I know in the past that there were free editing programs where if you change the image, you were actually changing your original image. Okay. And I think that was that put a lot of people off. So using the actual program, it feels a lot like Lightroom. Okay. And I think most programs now have sort of taken their influence from the Adobe design, that gray and black design. I think it gives a bit of familiarity. It makes people trust it just that little bit more. I think when you go into a new program that now doesn't look anything like the Adobe programs, you're always a little bit, I don't quite know about this, So Adobe have really been very clever over the years with their design, because so many people have actually copied it.
Yeah.
Generally, the layout is going to be familiar to Lightroom users. Everything is pretty much laid out pretty much the same. There's tiny little bits that are moved slightly, but when you actually look at it, you've got your menus on the left and on the right that look exactly the same. You've got your image obviously showing in the middle, and you've got all the exposure, contrast settings, and all the different modules that you can actually work your way through. I guess one thing is that I did actually, when I looked on YouTube, for a little bit of information, and I have to say that if you want to learn Darktable, some of the information that's out there, there's very limited information that's out there. And if you want to learn to do something in Lightroom, you can look it up on YouTube, but with Darktable, there's, it is a little bit limited. And for somebody that's new to it, it's very easy to jump into an editing software, and what you just start doing is you do these weird and wacky, wonderful things, but you miss the basics of how to import images correctly, how to correct images correctly, how to export images correctly. Okay, so it's very easy to miss those because you get taken in by all the effects and the presets and the weird and wonderful things that you can do. So any editing.
How long is it? How long has it been around?
Well, see, I don't know how long it's been around.
Because I do wonder. I mean,
yeah,
I said Tumblr before. I actually meant Blender,
right.
which is a 3D open source software.
Mm,
And I remember during COVID, there's a friend of mine, and he knows how to use it quite a lot, and he went through a few things with me. And there's loads of stuff on YouTube on
mm,
how to use Blender.
right.
Now, Blender, if you don't know, is a 3D sort of design drawing sort of thing. So you can do a lot of games are used from it. I think you can do some 3D movies on it, and it's all created within Blender, and it's open source, so it's free
Mm,
to download.
mm,
It's a massive program. It reminds me of the first time I opened Photoshop. Really, really big. So I was just wondering, because there's so many people sort of helping each other out in the Blender scene. I wondered, maybe it's just because Darktable hasn't been around that much. I mean, is there anything? I don't know. That's what I was thinking. And maybe the more people who are on it, the more people who are aware of it,
mm.
the more stuff will go onto YouTube, because that stuff is invaluable.
It is. That's right. Yeah. But I'm not familiar with it, so it's difficult to sort of for me to comment on that as such.
Yeah.
But the main thing here is we're looking at. I mean, is Darktable is it a serious alternative to Lightroom? Because it's free. Okay, so you've got nothing to lose. Okay, you could have a go. If you're thinking about jumping in, you've not done any photo editing before. Well, let's be honest. If you are at a point where you are looking to cut costs, and the monthly cost for Adobe is perhaps too expensive for you, then you could jump in to look at Darktable. And because there are some benefits. I mean, generally it has more tools. However, with more tools, it can be a little bit more confusing as well. So you have to actually learn that as well. I'm not sure about the AI stuff, because Adobe are really sort of breaking ground with what they're introducing with the AI stuff. And
Yeah.
Darktable, I'm not sure where they're at with it. And obviously there's going to be a cost with all of that as well.
Well, just looking at it, I've
mm,
just while you were talking there, Cam, I did have a quick look on my phone,
mm,
and it says Darktable. The initial release was April 2009, but it then says stable release is
mhm.
21st of December 2023. So I guess it's still in its sort of beginning stages, although technically it has been around since 2009. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's the first time I've really heard of it. So
Yeah. Overall, I mean, as I said, is it worth it? Yes, I think it is. If you haven't used an editing software program before, and you want
yeah,
to, and you don't want to spend any money on it, I know Adobe do their free sort of 7-day trial or 30-day trial. I can't remember what it is and what it is now, because
yeah.
I've not sort of used it for such a long time like that. And great, and I think Adobe, they are the leaders. They're the ones that break new ground, and they're the ones that you should always sort of be referring to as well as top of the game. But here is an alternative. Darktable, free editing program software. Why not give it a go? Save yourself some money, learn something new as well, and who knows, you might be a convert. So personally for me,
Yeah, well,
I'll be sticking with Lightroom, because people might be thinking, oh, what's he going to do? Is he changing? No, I'm not, because I'm quite invested into the Adobe system, because we use it for Premiere, we use it for Photoshop, we use it for Acrobat, Illustrator. So I'm invested into that. I'm already paying for that anyway. So this alternative isn't going to work for me, but for some people out there, yeah, give it a go. Okay, Darktable.
Darktable. Ah, very, very good. Well,
Good stuff.
yeah, it's probably worth the download. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just check it out. But I'm the same, because I use Photoshop so much, and Lightroom is very connected with Photoshop. It just works for me. But then we've been doing this for a long time. We're kind of bit old in the tooth now, aren't we? So,
That's right, yeah.
but maybe
Yeah, but change is good.
change does happen, and
Mm,
watch this space. But yeah, I agree. Anyone who's learning it, anyone who students, and even if you're just beginning, your photography business, then anything free will definitely help you out, because there's loads of other things you can spend your money on, basically. So yeah.
good stuff. Mark, should we go and grab a drink and then we're going to jump in and have a chat with Hazel?
Yes, absolutely. We should probably get them in before Hazel gets here.
Great. Okay, let's do that.
We are joined by Hazel from the photography show and video show. Hi, Hazel. How you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Thank you. Just to note, we have now shortened the show name to the photography and video show, just for future reference on that.
Good. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Whenever we spoke about it on the show, we'd always say, you know, the photography show. In fact, to give it its proper name, it's the photography show and the video show, or whatever it was. That's what we'd say. That's yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a while, Hazel. It's been a while, hasn't it, Hazel?
It has, yes. So our last outing was 2022, September 22. So we've had an 18-month gap. We've had a bit of a time to step back and have a look at the all-round experience for our exhibitors and our visitors, and we're really excited to be back in March. Apart from anything else, we all now get a summer holiday back. The resounding feedback from the industry is that the March dates are preferred than the September dates. It's much better certainly for the pros and their kind of seasonality and investment. So we're really excited to be back in March.
Yeah, because I remember the show, you know, traditionally being going back years ago, sort of that sort of February, March time, and it always made so much more sense. And suddenly when it went to that September, it certainly seemed to throw everybody out, you know. And
well, it was due to COVID, wasn't it? Was it because of COVID that it moved to September?
That was the kind of starting point. The gift that keeps on giving, unfortunately.
Yes.
But yeah, we've now been able to normalise, shall we say? And
and hard to say, has it felt weird having those 18 months in between a show?
Not. I think because of the COVID disruption, the answer to that is no, not really. We've been engaging with the audience. We've run webinars. We've launched our own podcast as well with David McClelland, who presents for us on site as well. So we've kind of kept that continuous contact with our audience, and as I say, it's given us a bit of time to have step back and take things into account. When you're on an annual cycle for a show like this, it can be really it sounds like a year's a long time, but it's really not, and you can you just keep going and going. Whereas this time round, we've been able to have a think about I know we're going to talk about the higher profile speakers in the super stage and what we're doing with that. So just had a chance to rethink and reformat.
I think one of the things about, for me, having it, in the early part of the year, it inspires you for the rest of, for the year. I always felt in September it was like, we were so busy after a busy year anyway, and we still had 2 or 3 months of the year left. And then you go into that natural break of Christmas and New Year, then you got to gear up again. But right now, this is the period where we're all the first 3 months for so many photographers and videographers, we're in that period of planning for the new year, looking for new ideas, new products. So it times well. So yeah, definitely a thumbs up for us, with it now being in March. So what is new for this year? What can visitors expect this year?
Well, this year we've decided to not to do the super stage in its traditional format. So we are still bringing in the high profile speakers, the speakers that everybody knows and loves, but they will be running their talks and presentations across the stages on the show floor. So we won't have a kind of a gated theatre, as it were. It's part of our objective to make the show more inclusive, more welcoming, and generally accessible to all. So that's a format change. We will have the behind the lens theatre as usual this year, because that's always a really popular one, and the editing and post-production theatre as well. We will have the in motion studio, which will be specific to video, but we will be running video led sessions across most of the other stages and theatres as well, just because it's, previously we would have separated that content, but now it's so integrated into what we all do, and it's part and parcel of the imaging creation and content creation world. And then we will have the photo studio, which will be what was Photo Live, same basis, different name, and a stage this year called Shoot to Inspire, which again will be a combination of video and photo, and with live demos and various other things going on. We've also got the creator stage this year, so that was new last year. We will be running the creator playground alongside that, so I don't know whether you guys got to visit that last year, but we'll be expanding on that element of fun and kind of interactivity. This year it'll be a bit more of a journey through a through a different world kind of take. So and we've got other interactive sets. There's so much on that I can't get it out of my mouth in a straightforward speech, I'm afraid.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, there's lots to go. I mean, obviously, for listeners who are wanting to know a bit more detail, go to the website because it is all on there, and we'll obviously share those links with this episode. But I think that's great news what you've done with the Super Stage. Because I think it's absolutely right. Really, you are including everyone. Anyone can see anyone now, which is really cool. And I'm guessing it's great for the speakers as well, because they'll naturally get bigger audiences too. Getting their message out and things like that, which I think could be really, really nice.
I think it's great because I remember going back to the show. I'm going back sort of several years now, and it was always very much treated the way I always saw it as an event where it was about going out to buy products, equipment. That's really what it was. What deals could you get? And that all still goes on. We'll talk a little bit about that. But it's now become about education and learning. Even more so. And not just that, but it's become quite interactive with that. It's certainly moved with the times. And you talk about things like content creators, that whole social media aspect. That's very much part of the industry now, and it's all mentioned as part of the industry. So the show really, I think, keeps up with what's out there and what it's looking at in the future. But it's the learning aspect, I think, now more so than the equipment that the sort of product sales that attracts people now, because people are wanting to soak up education now more than ever before, wanting to learn new
and
ideas.
Inspiration as well. I mean, being inspired is so important.
Yeah. So I know that when I was looking through the speaker list, I think years ago, what I would normally do is, I'd be sort of thinking, right, okay, a Nikon going to be there, a Canon going to be there, what lenses, what deals are they going to be doing? I don't really think like that anymore. It's now I sort of think, what have they got? What talks have they got going on? What can I go and sort of, learn and introduce into my own work now? What's going to improve my, my business as a photographer and videographer? And I think that's hugely beneficial as well. And I think that's why it attracts so many people as well. Because it's for everyone, isn't it? It's for hobbyists, it's for professionals, it's for It
is for everyone. And as I say, our objective has always been to be welcoming. We put special focus on our kind of demographic and how we're targeting different audiences. It's always been part of our kind of philosophy to include that education piece. We know that people really love to come and see the likes of Tommy Reynolds. We've always got our regulars coming back to speak every time, and we freshen up that speaker panel every year. So this year we can talk about it later, but we've got lots of speakers who haven't been with us before. We've got a couple coming from Australia, for example, as well, which does make our speaker lineup truly, it's global, and we're renowned for that. Visitors do still want the trade show aspects. They want to go and see that kit, and honestly, I think it's in these days of kind of not really knowing what information is right or incorrect or correct online with online advertising and the issues around that. I think face-to-face is becoming even more important for industries like the photography industry, because you can actually, you can go to Canon and say, can I try out your new kits? And the same for Nikon and Sony and Lumix. I think it's really important to get that face-to-face time with people. So yes, going back to your statement, Cam, the education piece is very much something that we want to push, and we we know we have a very high quality program year after year, but the buying aspect is still very much there.
I mean, the big boys
Well, I
are
guess
going
as
to be.
well, if I sorry, just about to say, Cam, I mean, you don't get much of a chance to sort of try out equipment these days. I mean, I think Jessop's are sort of around, but they're mainly internet now, aren't they? London Camera Exchange are about, and of course you've got Wex, but it's not like every high street now has a camera shop, like it probably did 15, 20 years ago.
No.
And it is good to get your hands on, the new gear that's coming out. I mean, I know some of it. I think it was a few years ago. Canon had the latest sort of mirrorless camera out. It was the R3, I think it was, and you couldn't see that anywhere else, and it was just there. So having that kind of stuff, I think, is really important, especially now when the high street doesn't really offer that anymore.
Yes, absolutely, and I'm appalled to say cliche phrases like all under one roof, but it really is that. It's, you can go and get your camera, you can go and get your accessories, you can go and talk to people about insurance and all the rest of it. So you can pretty much, if you wanted to set up your own business in 4 days, you've got the function to be able to do that at the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Any competitions this year at all? Is there anything going on competition wise?
We have we've got our student challenge this year again. That'll be the second iteration. We're doing a From Dusk Till Dawn theme, which you guys might know the reference, understand the references to, but I'm not sure many students will, unless they're into their cult films.
Yeah, it's a bit of an old film, that, isn't it? But
it is a bit of an old film, but I think it gives, the theme itself gives it. It's quite ambiguous, so you can do with it what you want. I think it's great. We very much focus on the emerging talent. I think it's incredibly difficult for younger people generally to just get their faces out there with everything going on as it is. So yeah, we will be pushing that, and Canon have put forward a prize for that as well, which is fab. We're also running a Star Creator competition, and again, that's with the aim of spotlighting emerging talent, and there will be news to follow on that one.
Good stuff. Brilliant.
Oh, that's cool.
It takes place at the NEC as usual, which is a perfect venue for it. It's not in London, which is great, which makes it so much easier. And tickets, they're available on the photography show website, aren't they, Hazel? Is that the best way that people?
Absolutely. Photographyshow.com. Amateurs or enthusiasts, as we call them, can buy them on the website. If you are a professional photographer or you trade representative within the imaging industry, you can apply for free entry. It does go through a verification process because we're just pretty stringent about the criteria around that free entry, but the option is there.
And then there was some there's some paid talks as well, which people have got the option of sorting
the
out.
masterclasses. I think they
the
were
masterclasses. Do they have to pre-book those, or is there the opportunity to be at the event and say, look, I'd really like to attend that, but I didn't book it? Can they do that at the actual show?
They can. Obviously, it's subject to availability. So we run beginners masterclasses in both photo and video. Those are both always very popular. Turning pro, so that's for mostly photography based, but that's for those of you out there who want to look at ditching your current career and moving into sole income from a photography perspective. And the pro forum as well, which is the business updates. There'll of course be quite a lot of information and review of the AI situation at the moment. So that'll form part of the business forum. The other thing that we're doing this year, and you Photography Bar is first to know this publicly, is that we're running some smaller workshops with we've got Kelly Brown running one, we've got Fari Yavari, so that's our two our two Aussies, and Julianne Cost, who's principal evangelist for Adobe as well. Those will all be bookable in advance. They cost a minimal fee. Yes, you can turn up on the day and see if there's any spaces left, but I'd always say book in advance.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think generally the message there, if there's someone you really want to see on the day, get it booked up before you turn up, because I think chances are a lot of these things will be fully booked on the day.
Yeah, particularly because we've been without the show for quite a while now as well. So
yeah,
and the uptake is going to be
people will be flocking to them.
It's going to be big. That's right. Yeah, great. Hazel, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be featuring the show now over the next few weeks leading up to the show. And we're going to be speaking to some of the guests, some of the speakers that will be there as well. So we're going to certainly it's going to be a big part of our show over the next few weeks leading up to March. So thank you again for joining us, Hazel. Mark and I we're gonna dip in for a drink before we move on. Thanks, Hazel.
Yeah,
thank you.
So, Mark, having Hazel on, that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And just want to say thank you to Hazel for taking the time to come on, because she's obviously going to be incredibly busy at this moment, and she does it every year. She always comes on every year, which is really good. So we're really grateful for that. But yeah, we got an exclusive. Cool.
That was good. That was really good, Hazel, just to give us something, that's a bit of an excuse to show. So, guys, if you're thinking about those workshops, as she was saying, do pre-book your tickets for those. It's frustrating. You go all that way. You pay for the car park, which we've mentioned before, which seems to go up in price every year. And
well, that's not the photography show's issue.
It's not. It's not. No. But you don't want to get there and find that I didn't bother getting my tickets beforehand and I just can't get in and that type of thing. So make sure you get them. I do like the comment Hazel made about the super stage, wasn't it? I always forget what's called.
Yes, absolutely.
About it now being open to everyone, which I think is really good.
Well, there isn't going to be a super stage, is there? So it's really that the high profile guests are going to go around all the other stages. So it is, you don't have to pay now to see the high profile guys and ladies. So I think that's brilliant. I think it does exactly what she was saying about inclusivity and all that kind of stuff. Really, really important. Which I think is brilliant. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so looking forward to the show. We will be there.
Absolutely.
You guys, you might even come across us walking around. We're going to be doing some on-the-spot interviews with exhibitors and with visitors as well. So, we may well be there and thrusting a microphone and saying, "Hey, guys, what have you been buying? What's in those bags that you're carrying there? Have you bought Canon's newest or Nikon's newest or Sony's newest, whatever it is?"
Newest.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Fuji's newest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, look, guys, if you do see us, do come over, have a chat with us, say hi. But hopefully, we'll see some of you there.
Well, that's it for another edition, our first edition of 2024. I hope you all enjoyed it. And don't forget, we are going to be back next week. And before we go, I just want to have a quick shout out to our patrons. So that's Kelly Chambers and Amara Zainab. Thank you very much for signing up to our Patreon account. And obviously, you guys can do the same. Just follow the links below on our episode notes. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you. We'll see you on the next one.